Hello everyone, welcome to Marketing 454, Advertising and Promotion. This is chapter 18. In this chapter, let's talk about how to measure the effectiveness of promotional program. Measuring the effectiveness of promotional program. Okay, these are the learning objectives. Okay, I want you to read that. And there are arguments for and against measuring the effectiveness of promotional programs. Okay, the reasons to measure that include you can measure that to avoid costly mistakes. You can evaluate alternative strategies. You can increase advertising efficiency, and you can determine if objectives are achieved. But there are also reasons not to measure effectiveness because of costs involved, right? The research problems and disagreement on what to test, and also objections of the creative department, the creative people, or lack of time. Okay? So there are arguments for and against measuring the effectiveness. Okay? And this figure shows the effectiveness creative does contribute to campaign effectiveness. Okay? This one shows that the ad quality is believed the survey to be contributing to sales changes. 52% people believe that. The media plan 13%. Others like 35%. So the study shows that. Okay. To conduct research on measuring advertising effectiveness, you know what to test. Okay, what do you want to test on the effectiveness of advertising? You can test the source factors. Remember the source factors, the spokesperson. Right? You can test the message variables. Different type of messages, different messages. Okay? You can test your media strategies, how you use media, the media option, vehicle option, source effect, which media vehicle you use. Right? There's a differential impact of advertising exposure on the same audience depending on media option used. Right? Or you can test on the budgeting decisions, budgets. Okay? Second is when do you do the test? When do you want to do the test? Measure the effectiveness of advertising. All test measures classified according to when they are conducted. You can do pre-test and post-tests. Pre-tests and post-tests. Pre-tests are that the measures taken before campaign is implemented. Okay? Post-tests occur after ads or commercial has been in the field. Okay? So there is a variety of pre-tests and post-tests available, and each has its own methodology. Okay? Here are some examples of classification of testing methods. You can do pre-test, you can do lab methods, okay? Lab tests, and you can do field test. Okay, pre-test in lab methods include like consumer juries. You can gather consumer juries to do the test. You can use a theater test. You can use a readability test, readability of the ad copy, portfolio test. Okay, you can do a rough test on the draft, comprehension and reaction test. Okay, comprehension and reaction test. You can use physiological test measures, okay? And you can do concept tests. You can use the field methods to do that, right? Like a dummy advertising vehicle. Use a dummy advertising vehicle to do tests. You can do use on-air tests, or online theater tests, okay? The field test. In post-tests, They're mostly done in the field using field methods. You can do recall tests, how much you can recall, if you can recall, single source system tests, recognition tests, if they can recognize them, association measures, inquiry tests, and tracking studies. So a lot of methods available and being used. Okay. Where to test? Okay, where to test? Basically, you can do the test in the lab or in the field. Lab tests, people brought to location where they are shown in the ad or the commercial, but there's a lack of realism results in testing bias. Okay? People may scrutinize ads much more closely than they would at home, okay? Because they're in the lab. They think themselves are experts on that. Okay, field tests under natural viewing situations is carried out with realism of noise, distractions, and conforms of home. Okay, and account for effects of repetition, program content, presence of competitive messages. Okay, because the repetition, program content, and competitive messages, those effects are accounted for, right, by field tests. Okay. And how to do the test? Right? Yeah, you can use a positioning advertising copy testing tool called a PACT. Positioning advertising copy tool improves the research used in preparing and testing ads by providing a better creative product for clients, by controlling the cost of TV commercials. Okay? Making measurement makes sense. It's a joint effort to make digital media measurements comparable to those of traditional media, while still evaluating the unique value of interactivity. Okay, that's how do you do the test. Okay, here is the positioning advertising copy test, or PACT, is about. Okay, one, provide measurements that are relevant to the objective of advertising. Two, second, it requires agreement about how the results will be used in advance of each specific test. Three, it provides multiple measurements because single measurements are not adequate to assess ad performance. And four, is be based on a model of human response to communications, the reception of a stimulus, the comprehension of the stimulus, and the response to the stimulus. 5, allow for consideration of whether the advertising stimulus should be exposed more than once. 6, require that the more finished a piece of copy is, the more soundly it can be evaluated, and require as a minimum that alternative executions be tested in the same degree of finish. Okay. Number 7 of PACT, it provides controls to avoid the biasing effects of the exposure context. Okay. Number 8, it takes into account basic considerations of sample definition. And number 9, PACT demonstrates the reliability and validity. So this is what is used in the industry people, by the industry people. Okay. There are some guiding principles of digital measurement, of effectiveness. Right? Principle number 1, move to a viewable impression standard and count real exposure online. Okay? There's a movement to viewable impressions. Principle number 2, online advertising must migrate to currency based on audience impressions, not growth in presence, not growth impressions. Okay? Principle number 3, because all ad units are not created equal, we must create a transparent classification system. Principle number 4, determine interactivity metrics that matter for brand marketers so that marketers can better evaluate the online's contribution to brand building. Okay? And principle number 5, digital media measurement must become increasingly comparable and integrated with other media. Those are some guiding principles for digital measurements, right? Digital measurement. Let's talk about the testing process, the concept testing, concept generation testing. Concept testing is conducted by very early in the campaign development to explore consumers' response to a potential ad or campaign. When you have some initial concept, you can test to see which one is better. Okay? It may just be a headline or a rough sketch. You can use focus groups and more intercepts. Okay? Online focus groups are becoming more common form of concept testing, like this woman is doing. All right. And for concept testing, the objective here is to explore consumers' response to various ad concepts, okay, as expressed in words, pictures, or symbols. The method you want to use is you can use alternative concepts, and they're being exposed to consumers who match the characteristic of the target audience. Reactions and evaluations of each are sought through a variety of methods, including focus groups, direct questioning, and survey completion. Sample sizes vary depending on the number of concepts to be presented and the consensus of the responses. The output of concept testing is qualitative or quantitative data evaluating and comparing alternative concepts. Okay? And there are some weaknesses associated with the focus group research. Okay? The results are not quantifiable sometimes, most times. Okay? Sample sizes are too small to generalize to larger populations. Group influences may bias participants' responses. Okay? One or two members of the group may steer the conversation or dominate the discussion. That's why you want to avoid that. Okay. Consumers become instant experts, so-called experts. Members may now represent the target market. A focus group participant, a certain type of person. Okay. Results may be taken to be more representative and or definitive than they really are. They may not be representative. Okay. That's weakness associated with focus group. Okay. Rough test, copy test, and commercial testing. You can do comprehension and reaction tests to assess if ad conveys intended meaning. Does your ad really convey what you intended to say, to mean? Assess the reaction an ad generates to ensure it is not offensive. Okay. You use a consumer jury. Consumer jury use consumers representative of target market to evaluate the probable success of ad. Okay. Here's some rough testing terminology here, right? Animatic rough, it's like a succession of drawings, cartoons. It's rendered artwork with still frames, stimulated movement, panning, zooming of frame, rapid sequence. Okay? You can use photomatic rough, like succession of photographs, real people, scenery, still frame, simulated movements, panning, zooming of frames and rapid sequence there. Or you can use live action rough. You can use live motion, right? Stand-in, non-union talent, non-union crew, limited props, minimal obstacles, right? Location settings. Or you can use finished commercial use, like live motion animation, highly paid union talent, full union crew, exotic props, studio sets, special effects, etc. You have some terminologies in rough testing. Okay? Consumer juries. The objective of consumer jury is the potential viewers or consumers are asked to evaluate ads and give their reactions to an evaluation of the ads. When 2 or more ads are tested, viewers are usually asked to rate or rank other ads according to their preferences. Okay? The message is that the respondents are asked to view an ad and read them according to either the order of merit method or the paired comparison method. In the former, in the order of merit method, the respondent is asked to view the ad and then rank them from 1 to 5 or to n according to their perceived merit. In the paired comparison ad, ads are compared only 2 at a time. Right? Each ad is compared to every other ad in the group, and the winner is listed. The best ad is that which wins the most times. Consumer juries typically employ 50 to 100 participants and jury members. The output of consumer juries and the overall reaction to each ad and the construction, as well as the rank ordering of the ads based on the viewer's perceptions. Then you can use that based on that and make decisions. Okay? Limitations of consumer jury. Limitations of consumer jury method. Consumer may become self-appointed expert. They may become self-appointed expert. The number of ads that can be evaluated is limited. Okay? Excuse me. There could be a halo effect. Halo effect. What's a halo effect? The overall rating is influenced by the judgment on one or a few characteristics of the ad. Just therefore, a halo effect may take place. Preferences for specific types of advertising may overshadow objectivity, because people may prefer a specific type of advertising and not others that may overshadow their objectivity. You can also do A/B testing, A/B testing. That's testing 2 versions of the ad or a home page to see which one is more effective. You call it A/B testing. Okay. Portfolio test. Okay. Pre-testing. Portfolio test. Pre-testing the finished print message. You can use portfolio test. Expose the group of respondents to a portfolio consisting of control and test ads. Right? As there is a control ad, there is also a test ad. As that yield the highest recall, considered more effective. Whichever ad that has the highest recall is considered the most effective. But the limitations of portfolio tests include factors other than advertising creativity and or presentation may affect the recall. Remember the presentation, the sequence, right? Ability to recognize the ad when shown may be better measures than recall. Okay? Here are conjointly count.com print ad pre-testing. There's their workflow. Okay, the objective for them for print ad pre-testing. The objective is to determine the best print ad by comparing the respondents' attitude toward the ad, by benchmarking the ad against other good performing ads, and then by garnering feedbacks regarding likes and dislikes about the ad. The measures they have, a number of measures are taken for print ads, including the clarity and trustworthiness, how relevant and likable the ad is, how easy it will be to spot an ad, originality and authenticity, whether respondents will follow the call to action or discuss the ad further, where they would expect to see the ad. Okay. The output is in addition to comparing the ads that tested, additional measures of association and likes and dislikes about the ads are provided. Okay. You can also do flat readability test. Yeah, communications, efficiency of the copy in print and tested without reader interviews. Okay, and you can use a flash formula. Flash formula assess readability of copy by determining the average number of syllables per 100 words. Okay, but the copy may become too mechanical. Direct input from receiver may not be available. Okay. New print pre-testing measures. New methodologies involve hybrid measures that measure effectiveness in different ways or in different channels, like this Apsos ASI Next Connect. Okay. Also, the PTG, the pre-testing group, measures time respondent spends with print or a tablet using a hidden camera to track eye movement. Okay. And also, Link uses a comprehensive set of diagnostic questions to evoke viewer reactions to ads. Okay. There's some new measures that's being used. This is Apsos ASI comprehensive online copy testing measure. Okay. For Apsos AS Next Connect, their objective is to assist advertisers in copy testing of rough or finished advertisements in traditional or digital form to determine the individual executions or multiple campaign elements across any platforms. The method is that consumers are recruited to complete an online survey where they're exposed to a variety of messages, and the results are compared against those from a control group not exposed to any ads. And the output of this test is that you have a standard scores related to recall, persuasion, and comprehensive diagnostics, potential ad driven in-market sales. Okay. Pre-testing finished ad. You can use finished ad using theater testing. Participants are invited to view pilots of proposed TV programs. You can measure the brand preference changes. Again, like this GFK employees using these techniques to gather market knowledge. Okay. Theater testing. Okay, theater testing. An advantage of theater testing, you can establish norms, indicate how ad will fare against others tested in the same product class. Brand preference measure is supported by actual sales results. But the disadvantage of theater testing is the environment is artificial. Okay? Contrived measures of brand preference change is easily recognizable. Okay? And group efforts, group effect may influence viewers' reaction because of the presence of other people in the theater. Okay? On-air test. On-air test, you can use commercials inserted into actual TV program in certain test market. And you can use well-known providers like Decision Analyst, Apsos, MSW, Nielsen. The most common metric is recall. Recall, yeah. What is recall? The number of persons able to recall an ad and or its message. Okay. There are also the physiological measures like pupil dilation, called pupil meters, right? Measures dilation and constriction of pupils in response to certain stimuli. You can use galvanic skin response, GSR. Basically, your skin conductivity is measured. We call it electrodermal response, EDR. Measure skin's resistance or conductance to a small amount of current. Okay? Using galvanic skin response or pupil dilation to measure. These are the physiological measures. Okay? Eye tracking. view an ad while sensor aims the beam of infrared light at eye. Pretty scary, huh? Brain waves, right? Using electroencephalographic or EEG to determine the electrical frequencies in the brain. Okay? You can detect alpha activity, the degrees of brain activation, hemispheric lateralization, distinguish between alpha activity in the left and the right side of your brain. Or use brain scan imaging, examine the physiological reaction to ads and brands. Look at your brain waves to measure. Okay. Eye movement research. You can use eye movement research, right? Track the viewer's eye movements to determine what viewers read or view in the print ad, where their attention is focused in the TV commercial, and the website or billboards. Right? Use fiber optics, digital data processing, and advanced electronics to follow the eye movement of viewers. Yeah. A little bit scary, huh? The output is you can find a relationship on what readers see, recall, and comprehend. Okay? Scan movement paths in print ads, on billboards, in commercials, in print, and on website. Okay? Eye movement test. This one here is Tobii, is a leading developer and provider of eye tracking software. And viewers can watch an ad where the sensor aims a beam of infrared light at the eye. The beam follows your eye's movement and tracks the exact spot on which the viewer focuses and for how long. So a little bit quite interesting, huh? Post-test print ads. Inquiry test. How much inquiry you get. You can also do a split run test. The variations of ad appear in different copies of the same print media, right? And different copies. Use that. You can run the same ad in different media to see, right? So the inquiry and how many inquiries you got, right, from the ad, generated from the ad. And post-test of print ad is the advantage of print inquiry test is that the implementation is inexpensive. It provides good feedback. But disadvantage of inquiry tests, inquiry may not be true measure of attention getting or information providing aspect of the ad. Okay, it could be from other reasons. Ineffective for comparing different versions or specific creative aspects of that. So keep that in mind. Okay. This is for ads distributed through local direct mail pieces, catalogs, or flyers. The number of inquiries can be used as a measure of ads effectiveness. Okay. Recognition method. It determines recognition of print ads and provides involvement the readers have with a specific ad. Most common types of post-test of print ads, right? It's closely associated with the GFK starch and the starch ad readership report. Okay. Now, this is a starch rating scores. Okay, did you see that? Post-test of print ads. There's some advantages. The pulling power aspect of ad can be assessed through the control. Effectiveness of competitive ads can be compared. Okay? Alternative ad execution can be tested. Okay? But disadvantage of recognition method is that there could be false claiming, the fewer sensitivities, and reliable recognition scores. Okay? Recall test. Attempt to measure recall of specific ad. Okay? The advantage of recall tests that gives you the ability to assess ads' impact on consumer's memory. The disadvantage of recall tests, the reader's degree of involvement with product or with appeals and visuals may lead to higher than accurate recall scores. Right? So this is GNR Magazine Impact Research Service, at MRIS, their objective method and output. Let me let you read that. Day after recall test. Basically measure recall of ad a day after viewing it, the next day, known as the birthday after recall test. Okay. The advantage of day after recall test is the natural setting provides more realistic response profile. It provides norms against which the ad performance can be measured. Persuasiveness and diagnostics measures are also available. Okay. Day after recall test for post test of broadcast commercials. Okay. The disadvantages of the after recall test, it could favor unemotional appeals. Emotional ads may be processed differently than thinking ads. Program content may influence recall. Respondents are aware of tests and will be more attentive. So recall is not a measure of acceptance or predictive of sales. Okay? Just because they can recall, it doesn't mean they will buy the product. Okay? There are persuasive measures can evaluate commercials' persuasive effectiveness. Okay, can use a diagnosis garners viewers' evaluation of ad, how clearly the creative idea is understood, how well the proposition is communicated. You can use comprehensive measures, different measures obtaining through one testing program. Okay. Test marketing. Measure advertising effect in specific test markets before releasing them nationally. Okay? A certain market. Okay? Advantage of that, realism and high degree of control. Disadvantage, time consuming and expensive. Competitors may discover and intervene in the process. That would be bad. Okay, that would be bad. Okay? Tracking studies. Post-test of broadcast commercials. You can do a tracking study. Measures effects of advertising on awareness, recall, interest, and attitude toward the ad or brand and purchase intentions. Okay? You can use standard set of questions asked at regular intervals. The advantage of that can be that it can be tailored to each specific campaign or situation. Okay? These are the factors that make or break your tracking studies. I'll let you read that. Okay. There are problems with current research methods. Accomplishing some factors important to good copy testing requires more effort. More current methods do little more than provide the recall scores. Lab measures artificial and vulnerable to testing effects. Field measures result in loss of control, and concern for reliability and validity must also be carried over to online measures. So yeah, these are the problems with current research methods. Okay? There's something essential of effective testing. You need to establish communication objectives, use a consumer response model, use both pre-test and post-test, use multiple measures, understand and implement proper research. Okay? Both pre-test and post-test should be used. Okay? Also, to measure the effectiveness of sales promotion, you can scanner data captures shoppers' weekly transactions. You use scanner data. Give retailers information about effectiveness, gaining awareness of tracking studies, tracking sales during promotional and non-promotional periods, using heat map sensors in store to track customers and gauge traffic patterns, okay, for sales promotion. Okay. And the effectiveness of non-traditional media, okay, print versus online. Okay, measures the effects on memory and purchase behavior of each medium. Okay. Parking lot-based medium. measures the ad impressions, advertising recall, and combines with sales tracking data. In-store radio and television, their software from AMS measures effectiveness. Other media, you have the resources available to measure impact of various IMC elements. Okay, but non-traditional media measurement. And measuring the effectiveness of sponsorship, how to measure sponsorship. You can use the exposure method, monitor quantity and nature of media coverage obtained for sponsored event, estimate direct and indirect audience. Right? You can use tracking measures, evaluate awareness, familiarity, and preferences produced by sponsorship based on surveys. Okay? Here's an example of showing the sponsorship performance matrix. The x-axis is the sponsor appreciation, gratitude index. The y-axis is the passion index. The high performance sponsorship ROI. Okay. Yeah. There are 8 steps. The 8 steps in measuring the event sponsorship. Okay. Narrowly define the objective with specifics. Establish solid strategies against which programming will be benchmarked. Set measurable and realistic goals. Enhance rather than just change the other marketing variables. Don't put marketing plan 101 off the shelf. Okay. 6, define the scope of your involvement. Okay. And 7, think long term. It takes time to build the brand equity. And 8, build evaluation and the related budget into your overall sponsoring program. Okay. Yeah. The other IMC program elements, okay, there's increased interest in determining the synergistic effects of all program elements. Some studies track effects of 2 or more media. There are major challenges in determining the effectiveness and contribution of various elements of the IMC program. It's not easy to do. Okay? There's an example of factors in effective ad measurement. Being able to export metadata across my marketing platforms, cross-channel reach and frequency metrics, media-specific ROIs, and etc. And so what's important, what's not so important. Okay, we can look at data. And that's all I have for this chapter. Okay, thank you. I will see you next time. Goodbye.